those under the protection of Islam are the people of the book, who have made a covenant in Islamic governments and in Islamic countries. So the people of the book are obviously considered the Jewish people and the Christian people, as stated per the Holy Noble Quran. These are people who have established a covenant to pay a certain tax, a certain amount, to stay safe throughout their own jurisdiction, their own religious jurisdiction within the Islamic government, in that Islamic state. For example, there has been misconceptions about this because there has been a lot of, enemies who portray themselves as believers, that the Armenian people are kuffars. And this is false. So I'm going to share you a specific story. It was during the Ottoman times. As you all know, some of you don't because you're newcomers on here. My mother's side of the family, originally we are Anatolian people, okay, from the region of Anatolia. Obviously, we've migrated this way, which is not very far. My mother's side of the family, they were from the region of Sassun. And Sassun is a very rich and important cultural, historical, patriotic region, people for the Armenian people, okay? Obviously now it's in Turkey. It's been in Turkey since the creation of the country, the nation of Turkey. The area is full of Kurds now. Even at that time during the Ottoman Empire, there were a lot of Kurds. So wherever there has been Armenians, the Kurds would flock their way, okay? They would move in their way. They would go in those directions. And at the time, the Kurds were living in tents. They didn't have homes. They weren't known or classified as people who were, they were tent dwellers. They were moving around, somewhat like the Bedouins. They were a tribe. So, there is someone in our family, and we know this because the stories have been passed on generation to generation, where someone in my ancestors, one of my ancestors, was taken by a Kurd. So the neighbors, they all know each other. The Kurds, they lived peacefully, but here and there, they wanted brides. Armenians would kidnap. It was a way of showing how manly they were. We call it kidnapping, but it's not, they're not coming in to kill you. They want a bride. And if it's not accepted, they're going to take. When I say kidnapping, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about honorific titles that people used to use in order to show their manhood. They still do kidnappings here in Gyumri, where I live, for bride kidnapping. Maybe this is the word I should use, bride kidnapping. Okay, so there's more clarity on this. There was always rivals. There were rivals between Armenians and Armenians, Sasunsis against other Sasunsis. In that region, cousins marry cousins. This is how it was. From the Ottoman times, before the Ottoman times, it was the way it was. Okay? So, the Sasunsis would do honor killings. This was actually pretty well documented and known that the Sasunsi people, which is my mother's side, my heritage on my mother's side, there was honor killings at that time. It was very well recognized. So going back to the Kurdish situation, why I'm bringing this up, what does this have to do with being people of the book? Now, in that region, okay, that area, what happened was one of my ancestors, like I said, who was a Sasunsi, she was kidnapped, bride kidnapping, because they know they're not going to allow, her parents are not going to allow, her father is not going to allow. The mother has no say in that times. It was usually the father. So after 9 months, because their daughter is missing, they knew what this meant. They knew somebody came and kidnapped their daughter as a bride. After 9 months, the door is knocking. This is my ancestor's home. The father of the house opens the door and he sees a woman fully covered head to toe in black, veiled. Not even her eyes are showing. And So she lifted up her veil and she said, Baba, Baba, it's me, it's your daughter. Can you please accept me back? Accept me in. I'm married now. Back into your life, Yani. Okay. I'm married. So he obviously knew what this meant. And she says, please, are you going to allow me in the house? Let me in the house. So he opened the door. He let her in. He said, come downstairs. We'll have our conversation downstairs. He took her downstairs in the basement. There's a cellar. It's very cold. He said, turn around. She went downstairs and he said, put your veil back on. She turned around. He took a very strong metal cooking pot and he slammed, and she was 9 months pregnant, and she said, Baba, I'm 9 months pregnant. I'm having a child. I want you to be a part of this child's life. He slammed on her head, instant knockout, dead, instant death. So between her mother, the wife of the man who did this to his own daughter, and the husband's family, they took him to Ottoman Islamic court. Okay? Why did you do this to your daughter? She was pregnant. Why did you kill her? Present, the law is that they have to do Islamic Ottoman law, but he has rights. He has rights because he pays taxes. He has rights because also the Orthodox Christian Church has a say in this as well now, because he's paying. He got up and he said, I took my dignity back. This was an honor killing. I admit I did this. She was taken away from me out of my consent. I was not asked for this to happen. The Ottoman court, they need a valid reason to decide how long he's going to go to prison, how long he's going to stay in prison, what's going to happen to the fate of this man. So he said, I took my dignity back. That was my daughter. She was taken away from me without my consent. She's already dead when she was taken away from me without my consent. So I just finished off the job when she returned. And you know what the Ottoman court judges did? They set him free with no penalty, no jail time, no charge, nothing. They got up and they said, we honor you. This is your right. Not because it's a Christian way or this this Islamic way or this way or that way, but because he said, I took my honor back. Now, it's up to you if you want to decide this is right or wrong. But this is preserved in my family.